How goes the family? Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully you guys are having a great day and you've had a great weekend, ready for the weekend. Hopefully you guys will be able to work on your goals and aspirations if you're off this weekend, or whenever you have some off time, work on your goals and aspirations outside of your job. And today's topic is going to basically called simple mathematics. Because with the inception of the internet, social media, and even if you do not live within the same neighborhood with a lot of small businesses are actually located, you can still support them nowadays because of the online platforms. You have so many platforms out here, such as Buy Back the Block, We Buy Black, which I actually utilize to purchase products because I like to support as many small businesses as possible. Me having my own small business, I don't like to be a hypocrite by just asking people to buy my stuff. I actually buy other people's stuff all at the same time. You give a little, you get a little. That's how life is. Buy Black and the Toaster Real Estate Fund, which I've actually invested in. It's a great way to purchase products and support funds via the internet. I know that there are way more small business platforms out there that people can support, small businesses and display the actual products to sell to the world. I'm just talking about the ones that I know of right now and the ones that I actually support, so I'm not being a hypocrite. So if you own real estate, or even if you don't, but you would like to become some sort of a real estate investor, platforms like the Toaster Real Estate Fund and Buy Back the Block, or even Fundrise, which was actually the first one I ever heard of. I just didn't move forward with that one. But it's a great way to get into the real estate investment game without having to spend a lot of money. Now, another way for working people to try and to increase their revenue, meaning all the money that one has after paying all their bills and surviving, is to at least once a year initiate major family business meetings, or as a lot of people call them, family reunions. But look at it like a corporation initiating major corporate conferences once a year with all their regional offices, and bringing them to the home headquarters so they can have a discussion and powwow and exchange ideas and implement some ideas too, not just talk but do. What are they usually talking about is the question. They're talking about different strategies on how to increase revenues within their organizations, which is a great thing what families should start doing. When it comes to family reunions, barbecues, etc., family economic strategies should be at least at the forefront. That's my personal opinion. They should be at the forefront. As much as having fun, economics and the trajectory of the family assets are today, and where you want to see the family assets in the future. Those are the kind of conversations that families should be having amongst one another. Say if your last name is Johnson, let's go from there. And before I even go further, these are other platforms that you can utilize to invest your money, like Stash. I utilize them for buying stocks and bonds. Coinbase, that's a great way to buy cryptocurrencies. I utilize that as well. Just pointing out more things so I don't seem like a hypocrite all at the same time. But let's get back to the subject at hand. Okay, now we're talking about the Johnson family. Okay, now what would you want to see the economic trajectory of the Johnson family outside of being a good parent, spouse, surviving, and where you're going to go on your vacation? These things are important, but I'm just talking about having a family business, putting it at the same level or even higher. My personal opinion. For example, if everyone in the Johnson family has a great job, owns a home, but doesn't own a business or a piece of land or a building or possibly even a franchise, that cash flows going into the family business bank accounts, family stocks, etc. Stuff that appreciates in value. I always like to take that line from Baby Boy with Ving Rhames, guns and butter. Stick to the things that actually appreciate in value, not depreciate in value when it comes to purchasing it. Having somewhat of a turnkey business, for example, public storage businesses, a lot where actually events take place, festivals, church services, weddings, funerals. I mean, the list can truly go on, and it just depends on how you look at it and how you're trying to profit, what you're good at, what you're passionate about, the whole nine. 'Cause a lot of things you might say you want to do, but if you're not good at it, then it might not be in your best interest to even try to even go in that direction. Now, so many people love to go and party like rock stars, but no one wants to make money and own assets like rock stars. I don't understand that, but I'll leave that alone. I think after a certain age, certain people should still want to have fun, but start changing your mind on how you spend your money and the outlook of your life, and don't let a job decide the outcome and the outlook of your life. But that's just my personal opinion on that one too. Living a life where your family always knows where the party is at, usually leaves people with hangovers, upset stomachs, and empty pockets, and probably regret, depending on your situation. Now, do you want every single member of and generation of the Johnson family to pass away and start off at zero, which a lot of families in 2019 do? If so, then that's fine, and it's your life and it's your family's life. But in 2019 and beyond, your family is going to lose out financially until, and I say this with all sincerity, you're going to lose out financially until the end of time. I will give another example of a family. This is more of a positive note. This is actually from an article I read the other day and a conversation I had with a family member the other day. Okay. The other example is a family going by the name of Scott. Let's say that the Scott family loves to plan family reunions, attend anniversary parties, and all that fun stuff, right? When I say family, though, I'm talking about brothers, mothers, sisters, cousins, friends who are considered family members, people who are married into the family, adopted kids, etc., and so forth. Okay, in-laws, the whole nine. The difference is that when the Scotts come together, it's more than once a year. And with the power of technology, they constantly engage with one another about new up and coming technology on the horizon, engagement. Okay. And they use these great family times to engage. It's like you see these pictures of these families having a good time, but in the background, there's some engagement going on, with the adults and with the teenagers. Okay. Because the story gets better. I'm just getting started on this one. Okay. They discuss hot stocks or cryptocurrencies that they should think about buying or selling. They discuss the current businesses that they have or are thinking about opening up and want, and that's a good thing, and want to not to know who within the family is willing to partner up. They want to know who's willing or who's not willing to partner up on the family business ventures. It's not making it mandatory, but it's one of those, if you see people doing good and you're not going to participate, don't complain and cry and be a hater later. That's just my personal opinion. They also have one thing going on that I think most families should incorporate within their family organizations as well, because the family is an organization, whether you want to believe it or not. They have a family tax. I call it the family tax plan, but they have a family tax that once the kids become legal working age, they have to contribute to the family tax funds twice a year. Now, most people think this is radical, but people do this on a regular basis, especially people from the immigrant community. The Scott family contributes $50 twice a year for the family tax fund via Cash App, which half of the funds goes into stocks and the other and the family mutual fund. And the other half goes into family business bank account, the family business bank account. So they actually have a family LLC set up, and they actually have the bank account under the family members LLC name, Limited Liability Corporation's name. Now, there are approximately 2,500 members of the Scott family, obviously those associated with them nationwide within the United States of America. So let's do the math on this one. So with $50 twice a year equals $100, simple math, right? Okay. Now, $100 times 2,500 equals $250,000 a year. Now, that's just a year. And $125,000 of that goes to bank accounts, collects very little interest. And the other $125,000 goes into stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Now, remember, all this money is in the interest of the family. It's not just in the interest of one person. Get that individualism nonsense out of your head. Okay. Now, just one individual. Okay. Not just one individual. So, and then they do a great thing by everybody within the family who participates in the family tax plan. They have to sign a legal notarized statement that's drawn up by a lawyer, which is very smart, that the Scott family utilizes. Okay. And the beautiful thing is no one in the Scott family can actually access these funds, any of the funds, unless it's for like a family medical emergency. Because when you have a medical emergency, it's going to cost you lots of money, whether you have insurance or not. It's going to be way more without insurance. Or members of the Scott family present, and this is my favorite part, they present a decent yet reasonable business plan to the table. Okay. They bring a great business plan to the table. Okay. And that business plan can consist of buying businesses, buying real estate, buying into a franchise. Cause you see a lot of small family businesses, especially when it comes to people that have come, immigrated to the United States. They put their dollars together to open up a Subway, a 7-Eleven, a Pizza Hut, etc., and so forth, And I think that's a beautiful thing. And because the family actually trusts one another, which a lot of families lack that nowadays, and trust one another, and they're being on code with one another, which is another thing a lot of families lack on that nowadays too, unless when it comes to a fight or something. They own multiple commercial real estate franchises and small family businesses, right? I say it once, I say it twice, I'll say it again. Families own this stuff. Now, all because they own this stuff, all because they decided to be more than just working people doing the same old. Within 6 years of being on code and participating in the family tax and investment plan, they have a network including assets of almost $5 million. Now, for working people, that's a lot of money. They still live below their means, which is a very smart thing, because getting money doesn't mean you're supposed to just always get the fancy car and the big outrageous house. No. Sometimes living below your means can actually work out in your favor, because it's better to see your bank account grow than the look of your car and your house grow. That's just my opinion. Meaning, now living below the means, meaning that if you came across one of the Scott family members, you wouldn't even know you were sitting next to or engaging with a millionaire. That's the power of family in my book. And I wish that I could see that kind of discipline in my family and other families. But most families want to compete with one another, backstab one another, or just be the status quo by just getting a job, paying rent, paying a mortgage, and having a family with no other goals outside of that category. And then a lot of working people have those goals and aspirations, but when it comes down to implementation, they're always at zero or square one. I think more working families would have some or more financial assets that they would come into the now. I call this mentality the now, and stop doing business like it's 1995. Yes, my grandparents' generation and my mother's and my parents' generation, they had more of a stabilized working environment to where jobs had pensions. Jobs stayed. People stayed at a company or a government agency for 30 some odd years, got the watch, got the pension, and rolled out and did their thing. They stayed within one community unless they were affiliated with the military. They didn't move around a lot. Okay, we don't live in that time, and I don't know if we'll ever live in that time ever again. That's just keeping it real. So with that being said, you have to do things differently, and you have to be willing to engage with one another and actually want to do business with one another, and not just have the mindset of an employee. Employees are going to hurt more and more in the future because of that good old crazy thing called automation. Okay, we already had enough jobs go overseas. Now the next phase is automation. So if your family is not on a business level playing field mentally at the beginning, and then on the second aspect of it, implementation, then you're going to see a lot of people being hurt, broken than they are today. And it's not going to matter who's president or runs Congress. Okay, it's going to be about the mighty dollar and who has the power and who's ready to implement and move forward. So mindset is everything. Don't worry about what's going on in the news unless it actually physically affects you or your loved ones. That's my personal opinion. Working families do this and can do this if they would just get out of their own way. And I believe most people are in their own way because they don't want to work hard when they get off the clock, unless it's going to the gym or just going to the club. I think hard work when you're off the clock means just as much when you're on the clock. So please try to put those simple principles into your family's day-to-day lifestyle, or just weekly lifestyle. It should be a conversation in every family household throughout the United States of America. And because if it's not, then you're going to be hurting and continuously hurting no matter who runs for office. So I'm not getting political. I'm just keeping it real. Priorities need to be put in the right space and not in the wrong space. Okay. So forget world star, forget who's playing for what team. All that is irrelevant when it comes to the almighty dollar. That's my personal opinion on that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Please give it a like. Please give it a thumbs up. Have a great week. Do great things and keep being awesome and keep being the best person that you can be. Thanks for watching. Take care.